Okay, so picture this, right? That moment. Pure digital panic. You know, you saved that really important file, probably called something genius like MISC.
Oh, yeah, the missed folder, or maybe important stuff. We've all been there.
Exactly. And it's buried deep somewhere in this maze of folders that seemed logical at the time.
But now it's just, yeah, a cruel joke, like you said. Boxes inside boxes.
Totally. Just digital chaos. Sound familiar?
That frustration, it's almost universal in our digital lives, isn't it? We save so much, but finding it again, that's the hard part. Stressful, even.
Well, today we're diving deep into something designed to, well, fix that. It's refreshingly simple, actually. It's called JDex. Johnny.Decimal for short. And forget fancy software. This uses like a basic numbering system to organize everything. Files, notes, you name it.
Well,
the whole idea. Find stuff fast, be more confident you can find it, less stress.
And it's free, which is great. Works for home, work, wherever.
What I find interesting is how it's not just about folders. It's about changing how you think about where information lives.
Yeah. Exactly. It's building that mental map. The number system helps you place things and, crucially, find them later without much mental energy. It's a huge cognitive load-off, actually.
Right. And for you listening, if you want to get a handle on things quickly, thoroughly, without getting buried, this is for you. Think of this deep dive as your practical guide, step by step. Our mission today, a beginner-friendly 14-day plan to understand JDex, sure, but more importantly, to actually start using it. We're breaking it down, like 15 minutes max per day, because nobody has time to get bogged down.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Over these next 14 segments, we'll unpack it bit by bit, the concepts, the practical steps. By the end, the goal is you'll not only get it, but you'll have a system starting to take shape.
Okay, let's do it. Day one, understanding the basics. So the heart of this thing is the numbering system. AC.ID notation. What's that about?
Right. AC.ID, it stands for area category.ID. So the 2 digits before the decimal, that's your structure. The broad area of your life and then a more specific category within it.
Yeah.
Those define the system, really. The 2 digits after the decimal, that's the ID. That's where your actual stuff goes. Your files, your notes.
So it's like a digital address for everything, specific spot.
That's a great way to put it. Think physically, right? An area is like a big filing cabinet.
Okay.
Inside that cabinet, you've got drawers. Those are your categories.
Makes sense.
Inside each drawer, individual file folders.
Yeah.
Those are your IDs, holding the document.
A filing cabinet, drawer, folder. Got it. Now, I saw something about limits. No more than 10 areas and categories. Why is that?
Ah, yes. Those limits are key. They seem restrictive, but they're actually really helpful. By limiting your top-level choices, like 10 areas max, you don't get decision paralysis. Where does this go? It becomes easier.
Oh, okay. Fewer choices.
Same for categories within an area. Keeps things focused. And the 100 IDs per category, that's like a signal. If you're hitting that, your category is probably too broad.
A sign to maybe break it down further.
Yes, exactly. It forces you to think about the real structure of your information, prevents that sprawl.
Good point. Okay, so for today, day one, practical step. Don't try to map everything out, right?
Definitely not. Start small, very broad.
Like pick one big area, maybe personal.
Perfect.
And within that, just one category, like documents, no numbers yet, just the idea.
That's the way. Resist the urge to define everything up front. That's a common mistake. People get overwhelmed trying to plan it all.
Yeah, I can see that. Start broad, start small.
You can always refine it later. Always.
Okay, so day one. Get the AC.ID idea. Think broad area, one category. Don't sweat the details yet. 15 minutes, done.
Exactly. Tomorrow we start defining those areas.
All right, day two. It's defining your initial areas. We've got the basic structure idea. Now we need those top-level compartments, right? The main areas of life.
Precisely. Think highest level. Where does your information generally fall?
Like what? Give me some examples.
Sure. Common ones are home, household stuff, repairs. Work is obvious for your job things.
Right.
Maybe hobbies, finances. That's usually a big one. Bills, banks. Some people use personal development, maybe travel. You're aiming for those big buckets that capture most things.
Big buckets. Got it. And the rule was aim for 10 or fewer.
That's the guideline. No more than 10. Again, it forces strategic thinking. If you brainstorm more, see if you can group them logically. Is vacations really separate from travel? Maybe not initially.
Okay, keep it focused. So once I have a few broad areas in mind, what's the task for day two?
Now you assign a tentative number. Just a single digit, 1 to 9.
1 to 9.
Or you could use 0 to 9 if you want. Maybe 0 is for meta stuff about the system itself, or something really high level. These numbers become the first digit of your JDex numbers. So home could be 1, work 2, like that. Tentative, remember, you can change it.
Okay. So maybe for someone starting out, 1 personal, 2 work, 3 hobbies. Something simple like that.
Perfect starting point. 3 to 5 areas is often ideal. Don't feel you need 10 right away. Get the foundation.
And the common mistake here. What should people avoid?
Making too many areas at the start, or making them too specific. These are the main filing cabinets, remember. Broad first. Specificity comes later with the categories.
Right, big filing cabinets first. Okay, day 2. Identify 3 to 5 broad areas, given tentative single digits, 1 to 9, keep it high level, another 15 minutes.
You got it. And that leads us right into day 3.
Okay, day 3. Populating categories within an area. Yesterday, we picked our big area filing cabinets. Today, we're opening one up and thinking what the drawers inside, right? The categories.
Exactly. You zoom in, choose one of those areas you defined yesterday. Let's stick with your example, Area 1, personal.
Okay, Area 1, personal. What's next?
Now, brainstorm maybe 3 to 5 categories within personal. More specific than the area itself, what kind of stuff falls under personal?
Okay. Maybe things about me, like IDs, passport, or stuff about the house, finances.
Great examples. So you might have categories like me, house, finance. Again, start with just a few key ones.
So for Area 1, personal, maybe. 1, me, 2, house, 3, finance. And these get single digits again, but these become the second digit.
Precisely. You assign tentative single digits, 0 through 9, to these categories within that Area 1. This number becomes the second part of the JDex number, the one right before the decimal.
Okay. So if personal is Area 1, then me could be 11, house 12, finance 13.
Exactly. 1 is the area, 1, 2, or 3 is the category. So you get 11, 12, 13 before the decimal.
Got it. Area number, then category number, dot. Okay. So day 3 task, pick one area, brainstorm 3 to 5 specific categories within it, assign those tentative single digits.
That's the focus. And what's a common hurdle here, you think?
I'm guessing making them overlap. Like, where do utility bills go? Is that house 12 or finance 13? Getting tripped up on where things fit.
You hit it right there. That's a key challenge. Categories need to be distinct.
Logical.
Ask yourself, if I had this bill, is it obvious which category it goes in?
And if it's not obvious,
then the categories might need refining. Maybe house needs a subcategory later, or maybe utility bills clearly fit under finance for you. It depends on your logic, but it needs a clear home. Perhaps household finance within house is better if finance is purely personal banking.
Right. Clarity is key. Make them distinct, logical nests within the area. Okay, day 3 goal, 15 minutes.
Moving right along to day 4, understanding IDs and neat subfolders. So we have areas, categories, the numbers before the dot. Now let's talk IDs, the 2 digits after the dot, and importantly, how to handle stuff inside those ID folders.
Okay, the IDs. The actual file folders in the drawer, 2 digits after the decimal for individual items, files, notes, whatever. And they start at 0.111, not 0.01. Why's that?
Good catch. Yeah, that's a JDex convention. IDs 0.00 through 0.09 are special. They're called standard zeros, reserved for specific management tasks within each category. We'll get to those soon.
Oh, okay. Special purpose zeros.
So for your regular content, you generally start with ID 0.11. And you can go up to 0.99. That gives you, 89 spots per category to start with?
89 unique folders per category drawer. Got it. Now, subfolders, I read JDex is kind of anti-subfolder, but sometimes one level is okay. What's the deal?
Right. The core idea is to avoid that boxes within boxes mess. Deep nesting gets confusing fast.
Definitely.
However, sometimes just one extra level of subfolders used thoughtfully inside an ID folder can actually help organization without adding much complexity. The key is one level for a clear reason.
Okay, give me an example. When would that one level be useful?
Sure. Let's say you have Area 1, Category 5 for travel, so that's 15, and ID 0.23 is for travel insurance, so folder 15.23.
Right, 15.23 travel insurance.
Now, inside 15.23, instead of just dumping all insurance stocks from every trip ever, you could create subfolders named by date, like 2023-07 trip policy or 2024-01 claim. Just simple dated subfolders.
Ah, okay. So one level, maybe for dates or specific events related to that ID, keeps the main ID folder clean but groups related things.
Exactly. But you resist going deeper. If even that one level feels cluttered, it's probably a sign you need a more specific ID, maybe 15.24 for a different type of insurance, or 15.25 for a specific recurring trip.
Or that the category itself is too broad.
Precisely. That limit of around 100 IDs per category helps push you towards better structure rather than deeper nesting.
Okay. Day 4 takeaway. IDs are 0.11 to 0.99 for content. One level of subfolders inside an ID is okay if it serves a clear purpose, like dates, but avoid deep nesting like the plague.
You've got it. Another 15 minutes focused on managing the actual content.
Okay, we're making progress. Day 5, creating your first JDex entry. We've got the concepts. Now time to actually build the index itself. The JDex. What is this index and why is it so important? You called it the control panel.
Yeah, the JDex, your Johnny.Decimal index, it's basically the master list, the central record of every single ID number you create and what it represents.
Like a directory.
Exactly. Think of it like the key or the legend for your whole system. Without it, you might have nicely numbered folders like 27.15. What is 27.15? You'd forget.
Right. Pointless numbers without the key.
The JDex turns those numbers into a searchable, understandable knowledge base.
Okay.
It's not just a list. It's like a lightweight map of your information. It helps you see connections.
Okay, super important then. How do we actually create it? For our very first entry, I saw there a couple of ways.
That's right. You could technically have individual notes for each entry, maybe per category. But honestly, for starting out, the simplest and often best way is the single note index.
Single note, like one big file.
Yep. It's one master note file. It can be a plain text file, a Word doc, a note in Evernote, or whatever you use. And each ID gets its own line in that file. And a good tip, name that file 0000 index. That way it sorts right to the top of everything.
Ah, clever. 00.000 index. Okay. So let's use our example. 15.23 travel insurance. How does that go into the single note index?
Simple. You open your 0.00 index file and you add a line. The format is basically 15.23 travel insurance, brief description.
Okay. Number hyphen title.
Right. And that brief description, that's key. Maybe add the provider, the trip dates, policy number, snippet, just enough context so you know which travel insurance this is later. Concise but informative.
15.23 travel insurance policy for Spain trip July 2024, something like that.
Perfect. Clear. Tells you what it is. What's a common mistake here?
I bet it's being too vague in the description, right? Just putting travel insurance and then having 10 entries like that.
Exactly. Not enough detail to be useful later. Make it just descriptive enough. And try to be consistent with your format, like using the hyphen. Makes it easier to scan.
Okay. Day 5. Create the master 00.00 index note. Make our first entry. Assign a number. Give it a good title and a helpful description. This is where it starts feeling real.
Absolutely. And day 6 is where we connect that index entry to our actual computer files. Let's do day 6, saving files the JDex way. We've got our first index entry logged, 15.23 travel insurance. Now, how do we actually set up the folders on the computer using this number? Okay, this is pretty direct. You just mirror the JDex structure in your file system. First, you create the area folder. Now, you might group areas, like maybe a folder called 1019 personal, or just one personal, if that's area 1. Inside that,
You create the category folder. So inside 1019 personal, I'd make a folder called 15 travel.
exactly, 15 travel, or maybe 15 travel with the hyphen for clarity. And then finally, inside that folder,
AC.ID folder of 15.2.
you got it, folder 15.23. And that is where you actually save your travel insurance PDF or whatever the file is.
So area folder, category folder, ID folder, simple path. And the numbers in the folder names make them sort correctly.
That's the beauty of it. They just line up numerically in your File Explorer. Now, about naming the file inside 15.23, there's a useful convention.
Yeah, the date thing.
Right.
Putting the date in the file name. Why is that helpful?
Using the AEAMDD format at the start of the file name, like 2024-05-15 travel insurance policy.pdf, does two great things.
Okay.
1, files sort chronologically, automatically within the folder. Super helpful for versions or sequences. 2, you instantly see the date context just by looking at the file name.
Makes total sense. Okay, day 6 task. Build the folder path. Area category ID. Save the actual file inside the ID folder. Consider using AMMDD at the start of the file name for sorting.
That's it, and the common mistake to watch out for.
Mixing up the JDex number and the file name, like naming the file 15.23.pdf.
Exactly. Don't do that. The number is for the folder. The file name needs to describe the file. 2024 to the 0515 travel insurance policy.pdf is good. 15.23.pdf is bad. Loses all context.
Got it. JDex number for the folder structure, descriptive name, maybe with date for the file inside. Day 6 connects the index to the file system.
Precisely. And on day 7, we see how this isn't just for files, but for notes too.
Okay, moving to day 7. Applying JDex to note-taking. Files make sense, but notes often feel messier. Can JDex really help organize notes too?
Absolutely. The principle's exactly the same. You just assign a JDex number to a specific topic or subject you're taking notes on.
So instead of notes scattered everywhere or just one giant note file?
Right, you integrate them into your system. You create a dedicated ID folder specifically for notes on that topic.
Okay, give me an example. Say I'm doing an online course. How would that work?
Okay, let's say area 1 is personal, and maybe category 16 is learning. So 16.
16 learning.
Within that, maybe you make an ID for a specific course. Let's say 0.01 for web development intro. So 16.01.
16.01 web development intro note.
Exactly. You'd create a folder named 16.01 in your file system. And inside that folder is where you keep all your notes for that course.
Could be text files, links, maybe related downloads.
Whatever makes sense. Individual notes, a link to a specific notebook in your notes app, maybe PDFs. The 16.01 folder is the container.
And in the main JDex index file, 00.00 index IDat, 16.01 web dev intro notes course platform main topics.
Perfect. That links your notes directly into your whole system. They're not separate anymore. They're findable within the main structure.
That's powerful. What's the common mistake when trying this with notes?
The biggest one is just not doing it. Keeping notes separate in their old system without assigning a JDex number or creating the folder. It defeats the purpose of having one unified system.
Or maybe not being specific enough in the index description for the notes.
That too. You need to know what those notes in 16.01 are actually about later on.
Okay, so day 7 is about treating notes like any other information. Give them a JDex home, an ID folder, record it in the index with a clear description, integrate them.
Exactly. Unify your knowledge.
Now we're getting into some really neat details. Day 8, exploring the standard zeros part 1. You mentioned these earlier IDs, 0.00 to 0.09, having special consistent meanings. Tell me more.
Right, the standard zeros. Think of them as predefined utility slots within every category. They have a consistent job no matter which category you're in. Makes the system very predictable.
Okay, predictable is good. So they aren't for regular content like 0.11 onwards. Let's start with 0.00 index. What's that for within a category?
The 0.00 index inside a specific category, like say 12.00 inside category 12 home maintenance, is for information about category 12 itself.
Meta information for the category.
Exactly. It's like the description or table of contents for that category drawer. You might put a note in 12.00 explaining what type of stuff belongs in category 12, maybe key contacts related to home maintenance, or links to related categories.
Ah, okay. Useful for defining the scope of the category. What about 0.01 inbox? That sounds like...
Well, an inbox.
It is. The 0.01 inbox within a category is a temporary holding place for items you know belong in that category, but you haven't figured out the specific ID yet or haven't had time to file properly.
So if I get a home maintenance quote, I know it goes in category 12, but I'm busy. I can just drop it in 12.01 for now.
Exactly. But, and this is crucial, you have to process these category inboxes regularly. They are temporary staging areas. If you let stuff pile up in 0.01 folders, they just become new junk drawers. Right. Discipline required. Process the inbox. Okay, so 0.00 for category info, 0.01 for temporary holding within the category. Good start.
So for today, day 8, maybe create a 0.00 folder in one of your categories. Put a simple note inside describing it, and really get your head around the purpose and the temporary nature of that 0.01 inbox.
Got it. Standard zeros part 1, 15 minutes.
Now for day 9, exploring the standard zeros part 2. We covered 0.00 index and 0.01 inbox yesterday. What other handy standard zero IDs are there?
Okay, next up.
Next is 0.02 work in progress, WIP. It's similar to the inbox, but specifically for things you are actively working on within that category.
So not just something waiting to be filed, but something currently being edited or developed.
Right. Maybe you're drafting a report that belongs in category 45. While you're working on it, and maybe its final ID isn't clear yet, you could keep the draft in 45.02.
And the same rule applies as the inbox. Process it.
Absolutely. Once the work is done or its final place is clear, move it out of WIP and into its proper ID, like 45.17 or whatever it becomes. It's temporary storage for active items.
Okay. 0.02 WIP for active stuff. What's next? I see 0.04 bookmarks, links, and URLs.
Yes. This is super useful. Instead of random browser bookmarks related to a category, you save relevant links here in a note inside the 0.04 folder for that category.
Like for my 16 learning category, any useful websites for web development could go in a note inside 16.04.
Exactly. And the benefit is you can annotate them, add notes about why the link is useful, maybe tag it. Makes them way more valuable than just a bare URL list.
Ooh, I like that. Context for links. Okay, and 0.05 templates. Seems straightforward.
It is. If you have standard documents or formats you use repeatedly within a category, store the templates in the .05 folder.
Perfect example. Keeps your templates organized and easy to find right where you need them for that category's work.
Okay, so today's zeros. .02 WIP, active work, temporary.
Right.
.04 bookmarks, annotated links. .05 templates, reusable files. These standard IDs really add a layer of efficiency, don't they? They really do. They create that predictable structure within every category. You always know where to look for these common things.
And the mistake to avoid with .01 inbox and .02 WIP, letting them become dumping grounds.
That's the biggest risk. They must be regularly reviewed and cleared out. They are tools for flow, not for procrastination. Schedule time to process them.
Right. Discipline again. Okay, day 9. Understand .02, .04, .05. Maybe create those folders in a category you use often. Get comfortable with the system.
Exactly. Build familiarity with these standard tools.
Now for day 10. Introducing standard 0 categories. We've done standard 0 IDs within categories. Now there are standard 0 categories. How does that work?
Right. So this applies to categories whose number ends in 0, like 10, 20, 30, etc.
Okay.
These are designated as area management categories. The convention is to name them like area management. So if area 1, 1019 is personal, then category 10 is 10 personal management.
So the 10 isn't for specific personal stuff like 11 or 12 house. It's for managing the whole personal area.
Precisely. It operates at a higher level. And here's the cool part. You can use the standard 0 IDs, .00, .09, within these area management categories too, but for area level tasks.
Whoa, okay. So within 10 personal management, I could have 10.01 as a kind of main personal inbox for stuff that's personal, but I haven't sorted into 11, 12, or 13 yet.
Exactly. A top level inbox for the whole area. Or 10.0 could be the personal index, maybe an overview of all categories within area 1.
That creates a really nice parallel structure. Manage the category, manage the area. What about deciding where to put something? If I have a travel doc needing filing, does it go in the travel category inbox, 15.01, or the personal area inbox, 10.01?
Good question. The rule of thumb, or the principle, is always be as specific as possible.
Ah.
If you know it's a travel document, it belongs in the travel category. So it should ideally go into 15.01, the category inbox.
Right.
You'd only use the area inbox, 10.01, for something personal, but you genuinely weren't sure which specific personal category it belonged to yet. Specificity first.
Got it. File as deep or as specific as you confidently can. What's the common mistake with these area management categories?
Using them to store actual content. Putting, say, your passport scan in 10 personal management instead of 11 me. Remember, the 0 categories are for management and overview, not primary content storage.
Right. Keep content in the specific categories, 11, 12, 15, etc. Use the 0 categories, 10, 20, etc. for managing the area.
You've nailed it. Day 10 is about understanding these area management categories and how the standard zeros work within them. Always remembering to file specifically first.
Adds another layer of structure. Nice.
Okay, we're past the halfway mark. Day 11, refining your system and avoiding broad categories. So you've been using the system a bit now, maybe adding files. What happens if a category starts feeling huge, overstuffed?
Yeah, I can see that happening. Like my initial projects category just becomes a dumping ground for everything.
Yeah.
How do you know when it's officially too broad?
Well, that soft limit of around 100 IDs is one signal. If you're getting close to using IDs .len1 through .99 in one category, that's a strong hint.
Okay, the number limit.
But it's also subjective. Does it just feel unwieldy? Are there lots of different kinds of things lumped together? Is it hard to quickly scan and find what you need? If yes, it's probably too broad.
So using your projects example, if I have client work, internal stuff, personal learning projects all mixed in there, and it's getting big.
That's a perfect candidate for splitting. You could break projects down into maybe client projects, internal initiatives, learning projects, each getting its own category number within that area.
So don't be afraid to change the initial structure.
Absolutely not. Your JDex system should evolve with you. It's meant to be flexible. If a category isn't working well because it's too broad, refine it. Split it.
What's the hesitation people have here? What's the mistake?
Feeling like they have to stick to the plan they made on day 2 or 3. Being afraid to change things.
Yeah, inertia.
Right. Or maybe worried about the effort of renumbering things or updating the index. But the goal is easy retrieval.
Yeah.
If splitting a category makes things easier to find long term, it's worth the short-term effort.
So day 11 is about active maintenance. Look at your categories. Are any getting too full or messy? Feel too broad? If so, brainstorm logical ways to split them into more specific categories. Be willing to adjust.
Exactly. It's about optimizing the system as you use it, fine-tuning it.
Makes sense. Constant improvement.
Now for a slightly more niche, but sometimes needed, technique. Day 12. Understanding AC.ID plus SUB. What happens if you really do have more than 100 items in a category, or an ID kind of repeats itself logically?
The AWA plus SUB. How does that work? It's like an extension.
Exactly. It's an extra identifier you tack onto the end of a normal AC.ID number when those standard 2 digits after the decimal just aren't enough.
Okay, when would that actually be useful? The family member example seemed clear.
Yeah, that's a classic. Back to 15.23 travel insurance. If you have policies for multiple people for the same trip, instead of new IDs, use the sub-identifier.
Like 15.23 plus self, 15.23 plus spouse, 15.23 plus child one.
Precisely. The core ID, 15.23, tells you it's travel insurance for that trip. The plus SUB tells you whose. It groups variations of the same core thing.
Okay, that makes sense for repeating variation. What about just running out of numbers, hitting ID .99? Can you use plus SUB then?
Technically, yes. If a category is truly narrow and specific, but just has a huge volume of items, you could theoretically go beyond .99 by using something like 15.23 plus 001, 15.23 plus 002, etc. However, the strong advice is, first, really question if that category should be split. Exceeding 100 IDs is usually a sign the category itself needs refining. Using numerical plus SUB should be a last resort, not the first reaction.
So prioritize splitting the category over just adding plus SUB numbers.
Generally, yes. It keeps the main structure cleaner. What's the common mistake with AC.ID plus SUB?
Using it too quickly, as a shortcut, instead of thinking harder about the category structure. Or using it for things that could just get their own regular ID.
Exactly that. Overusing it unnecessarily, it's for genuine repetitions or truly exceptional volume within a very specific topic. Don't let it make your system more complex than it needs to be.
Okay. Day 12. Understand AC.ID plus SEB is an option for repeats, like family members, or very high volume after considering category splits. Use it thoughtfully, not as a default.
You got it. It's a tool in the toolbox, but not the first one to reach for usually.
All right, almost there. Day 13, your JDex method. We've talked a lot about the 00.00 index single note file. Are there other ways to actually manage this master list?
Yes, definitely. That single note is great for starting simple, searchable, but there are other ways.
Like what?
Well, you could use individual notes, maybe one note file per category, or even per ID where you store the description and maybe more detail.
Okay, more granular notes.
Or, for people who like more structure or have complex needs, you could manage your JDex in a database.
Ooh, database like Airtable or something. That sounds complicated. Why would someone do that?
It is more setup for sure, but databases let you track more metadata, things like creation dates, keywords, maybe even links between related IDs. Plus, you get powerful searching, filtering, sorting. Good for huge systems or collaboration.
So you could use something like Airtable, Notion, maybe even just a spreadsheet or a SharePoint list.
Exactly. Each row or record is an ID, like 15.23, and columns hold the title, description, date, tags, whatever you need.
Okay, so we have options. Simple single note, individual notes, or a full database. How do you choose?
It really comes down to your comfort level with tech and what you need from your index.
Simple needs, simple tool.
Pretty much. If you just need the number and description, the single note is perfect. Low friction. If you want more detail per ID, individual notes might work. If you need advanced sorting, filtering, extra data fields, then maybe look at a database. But don't start there unless you have a clear reason.
And the most important thing is still the content, right? The AC.ID number and the description.
Yeah. Absolutely critical. That's the core value. The tool is just how you store and access it. Pick the tool that feels sustainable and helps you use the system. Don't get paralyzed choosing.
What's the mistake here? Getting stuck trying to find the perfect app.
Exactly. Tool obsession. Spending weeks comparing apps. Instead of just starting to build the index in a simple text file, start simple. You can always change tools later if needed. Just start indexing.
Great advice. Day 13, know there are options. Single note, individual notes, database. Pick based on your needs and comfort. Start simple. Don't let tool choice block you. The index content matters most.
Oh, precisely. Which brings us to our final day.
We made it. Day 14. Review and next steps. 2 weeks. Wow. Let's quickly recap the big ideas of JDex we've covered.
Okay, quick review. We hit the core. AC.ID notation. Area category.ID. The no more than 10 areas categories guideline. Building your JDex index, preferably starting simple, mirroring that structure with folders. Then we added the standard zeros, 0.00, 0.09, for consistency in categories and area management, and touched on AC.ID plus SUB for specific cases, and how to apply it all to files and notes.
And hopefully everyone listening has started. Defined some areas, categories, made first index entries, maybe organized a few things. What are the benefits they should be feeling or aiming for?
You should start feeling, well, more organized. Finding things should be getting faster, more reliable. That means less stress, less frustration, hunting for stuff. Ultimately, it's about clarity and control over your information. The structure really helps prevent things getting lost.
Okay, so we started. What now? What are the key next steps after this 14-day intro?
Keep going. It's a process. Continue populating your JDex index. Systematically work through your backlog of files and notes, organizing them into your structure. Don't try to do it all at once. Maybe tackle one area or category at a time.
And use those standard zeros.
Definitely. Get comfortable using 0.0, 0.01, 0.0, etc. for their intended purpose. And crucially, remember day 11, be willing to adjust your system. If a category isn't working, refine it. It's your system.
You mentioned a life admin pack. What's that?
Yes. It's basically a pre-built JDex template you can download from the Johnny.Decimal website. It has suggested areas and categories already set up for common personal stuff, finances, home, health, etc. It's a great jumpstart if you want to organize personal life stuff and don't want to build from total scratch.
Handy. And if people get stuck or have more questions?
The official website, JDeCimal.com, is the best place. Tons of detail, guides, examples. There's also a community forum there, which is great for asking questions and seeing how others use the system. Might even be options for more direct help if needed. Check the site.
Okay, so day 14. Review the concepts, appreciate the benefits, less stress. And the next steps are keep indexing, keep organizing, use the zeros, refine your system, maybe check out the Life Admin Pack, and use the website forum for help.
That sums it up perfectly. This 14-day plan is really just kicking things off. The real magic happens as you consistently use and adapt JDex to your own world.
So there you have it, our deep dive into getting started with JDex in 14 days. We really hope this gives you a practical path to finally taking control and saying goodbye to that digital chaos feeling.
You know, the real win here isn't just finding files faster. It's the mental energy you get back. Less time searching, less stress, deciding where things go. That frees up your brain for more important stuff.
That's a great point. Think about it. What's one area in your life right now that feels like an information mess? Could this simple numbering system, JDex, actually be the key to bringing some order there? It's amazing how structure can create clarity.
And just a final thought, be patient with yourself. Building any new habit takes time. Keep exploring JDex, keep refining it. See it as an ongoing journey to better organization, not a one-time fix.